the young people aren't smart enough to know better. They try things and do things that you and I are told you can't do, it's not going to work.
They don't have the experience to understand the repercussion of their actions.
We want to solve business needs and make impact.
Their growth and success over a long period of time.
Hey everybody, it's Red Taylor here, and I've got a big old favor to ask of you. If you would, go down and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also please share this episode with someone that you care about. Man, that would mean the absolute world to me. You never know, it could mean the world to them as well. So thanks a million, and please enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, this is Red Taylor with the Red Hot Read. I'm super excited today to bring a phenomenal guest to you that you're really going to enjoy and find a great deal of value from him. In a short amount of time, he has traveled to 6 continents and spoken to leaders from more than 100 different countries. He's co-founded the leadership consultancy ADDO, which is Latin for inspire, which has developed the National Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy, Coca-Cola Leader Lab, and the Baltimore Ravens Leadership Institute. He speaks and consults organizations on elevating the employee experience through attracting, retaining, and developing talent, inspiring brand loyalty in employees and customers. For his leadership and business acumen, he's been featured on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and in numerous publications, including the New York Times, Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times. He is the author of 5 books, including his latest, Inspired Every Day. He's the proud husband and father of 3 children, which together they enjoy cheering on the Atlanta Braves and the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my guest today, Kevin Scott. Kevin, welcome to the Red Hot Read.
Man, I'm pumped to be here. We're going to have a lot of fun today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like hearing this bio. It makes me sound more impressive.
Man, I'm telling you what, I have learned through my short time doing these podcasts and doing these shows that I love reading people's bios. I mean, to me, that is the beginning of a great show. I mean, I think that, obviously you have accolades, you have achievements that deserve to be heralded, that they deserve to be spoken about, and people need to hear your story, and that's why you're here today, man.
Oh, I'm excited. My wife's probably tired of hearing my story, but maybe somebody else wants to.
So what I told the last guy that I did a show on, I was like, hey, listen, will you please record my bio, and so I can send it to my wife so she'll know. So she'll know.
Right.
I'll do the same for you. I'll do the same.
This is great.
Yeah, good stuff. So man, tell me about it. You also are a church pastor as well, correct?
Yep, that's part-time unpaid, but it's fun.
That's the part-time unpaid deal. Yeah, that's good stuff. So obviously a very, very busy man. I know your time's valuable, and we're going to bring a ton of value to the audience today. So guys, buckle up and get ready. Kevin, tell us about Leadership Academy. Tell us about working, you founded ADDO. What was the mission, the goal? Tell us what all that means.
Yeah. So let's go back. It was 2011. I had started our first company 3 years before, and it was fun at the time, but sold that, was tired of what we were doing there. And really, the goal was to have a mission to make a difference. We wanted to impact high school students. Now, let me give you the scenario at this point. I wanted to impact high school students, and at the time, I viewed that there were only 2 ways to do that. Way number 1 is we charge students. And if we would have charged students to do a program, we'd have had a program that you and I couldn't have been in.
Yeah.
Right? Program for rich kids, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's fine.
Private schools and rich kids.
Yes. So that's one option. The other option, if you want to reach kids from a broader socioeconomic background, is to run a nonprofit. Like, I had done nonprofit stuff. I didn't want to run a nonprofit. I not a knock to them. Oftentimes they're run inefficiently. It's not. So if those were my options, charge kids and do rich kids, or have a nonprofit, neither seemed like a good option.
Right.
And now I'm a conservative, so what I'm going to tell you is about to sound it's going to be a little bit interesting. I saw an interview. I know, yes, you're covering your ears.
Earmuffs.
Bill Clinton is interviewing a guy named Blake Mycoskie, who had started Tom's Shoes.
Okay.
You know Tom's Shoes? They're the shoes you buy a pair and they give a pair to somebody else.
Okay.
And former President Clinton at the time is hammering this guy, and he's saying, if you actually care about giving shoes away, why don't you create a nonprofit? Like, why do you have a business? Why do you have a business? And Blake Mycoskie gave one of the best arguments for capitalism I've ever heard. He said, we want to give shoes away, but as long as we can solve a business need, we'll always be able to give shoes away. And what it made me think of, if I wanted to impact high school students, I needed to find a business need that I could solve. And so we surveyed the landscape, and here's what we found. Chick-fil-A, based in Atlanta, at the time, 80% of their team members were under the age of 21.
Right.
Okay. Well, if you got employees that are under 21, you need to connect with that group to hire them. Guess what? Those under 21-year-olds, they buy your chicken sandwiches. So you need to sell to them, market to them, and then they go to schools who you want to sell catering products to. So we took this idea to Chick-fil-A and said, if we could impact high school students, we could do three things for you. Increase sales, build your brand with a younger age group, and create a talent pipeline to your restaurant. And that was the genesis of so much of what we've done. Let me just give you this. Chick-fil-A, I think last year, beat out Starbucks for most favorite brand from Gen Z.
Wow.
Conservative, values-based company in Atlanta, most popular company with that age group.
But Chick-fil-A is not in all 50 states, correct?
They are now in, I think, 48 of the 50.
Okay. But just recently have migrated, and I say recently, probably over the last 36 months, right? 48 months have migrated to a lot of the blue states.
You've seen them have a ton of growth recently.
Yeah.
So.
Hey everybody, Red Taylor here, and I wanted to remind you that if at any time you're interested in shopping your health insurance or life insurance rates, my team of experts work for my viewers for free. So reach out to us, click the link in the description at redtailorinsurance.com, and we'll go to work. We'll see if we can save you a ton of money and upgrade your benefits. If we can't, we're going to tell you, hey, stay right where you are. What you have is working, and we're happy for you. If things ever change, let us know. So reach out. We're happy to help. Enjoy the show.
Well, I mean, it's the Lord's chicken, okay? Yeah. But yeah, no. So when you go,
the mix here, the mix is, if we want to be for profit and for good, we want to solve business needs and make impact. And that has been a through line of everything that we've done for our business.
That's so cool. So cool. So with that being said, I know that you mentioned that when you guys started that 80% of Chick-fil-A's workforce were under the age of 21 or 21 or under. What is that?
It's closer to about 70% now.
Okay. So
now you got to get a picture of a Chick-fil-A. So we got one right by where we're recording right now. Right. They probably got 100 employees. Well, they probably got some older people that are taking the lion's share of the hours, but they got a whole bunch of high school and college students who are going to fill in. So hours-wise, it may even be a smaller percentage, but number of employees, it's about 70%.
Okay. And so when you're saying you're making an impact, okay, describe that. Explain how ADDO, how you guys, make an impact. What the Leadership Academy does for that Chick-fil-A for those young people.
Yeah. So our goal is two things. Number one, we looked at the high school area, and what we found is, first of all, let me tell you what I love about young people. A lot of people are down on young people. They think the next generation's they're falling apart. Let me tell you, there's a quote by Pearl Buck. She said, the young do not know enough to be prudent. And so therefore they attempt the impossible and achieve it generation after generation. Basically, the young people aren't smart enough to know better, so they try things and do things that you and I are told you can't do, you shouldn't do, it's not going to work.
Right.
I listened to one of your recent episodes. You had a guy 26 on here making millions of dollars a year.
Jason Wojo.
Somebody hadn't told him you're not supposed to be able to do that yet.
No.
And so that's what I love about young people is they believe that they can do things. What I found is that most of them have a potential. They need a platform and a push. They need somebody to give them the opportunity. And so we've created a program where they create projects that impact their local community. The program we created for Chick-fil-A is called Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. It started in 3 schools in Cobb County, Georgia. This year it'll be in 1,200 high schools in 42 states.
Okay.
And it is a platform with Chick-fil-A's name on it that just really gives these students an opportunity to make a difference.
Man, that is so cool. And to rephrase kind of what you said, what I've always, I used to be a high school football coach and a high school teacher
Yep.
for 7 years. So I've been in the classroom, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. The kids haven't changed so much. It's the adults' expectation or lack of expectation or the lack of a standard of achievement that the adults are placing on the children. I tell my wife, I tell folks all the time that children or kids, they don't have the experience to understand the repercussions of their actions.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's experience that you and I and us adults utilize, hopefully, if we're wise and we have gained some wisdom, to go out and not go down the roads and have the pitfalls that some of us have to, take away our joy and our success and our opportunities. Well, children, conversely, they don't have that experience. And so they don't understand the repercussion of their actions. One of the beautiful things I hear you saying is that you guys are lifting that up on a platform of positivity and giving these kids an opportunity to take that lack of experience, the lack of hesitation, and build upon it towards success.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I'd give you two big takeaways for that. Number one, when you think about reaching younger people, whether as a customer, an employee, I think we've dumbed it down too much, and we've said we've got to change everything to reach this generation. I believe that you need to communicate the goals of the leader and the language of the learner. The goals of the leader. What I mean is, we don't have to change our goals or our values or our expectations. We need to change the way we communicate that. And so what's changed in this amount of time? Yeah, the young people may have changed, but we need to just figure out more relevant ways to reach them with our message. That's one. The second thing is, it's interesting because Chick-fil-A did this program. Do you know now all their competitors, we can name them, McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, whatever, they all want to do it now. They didn't want to do it then.
Of course. Because
Chick-fil-A does something that I think great businesses do. They take the long view of leadership. They are not only managing to the next quarterly earnings statements. They took a time horizon that was far longer and said, if we build this, by the way, they started 12 years ago impacting students. Now they're 20, 25, 30 years old. They are building customers for the next 50 years.
Oh, yeah. That is so important, and I encourage my team here. I talk all the time about taking the long view, okay? Short-term success is just that. It's short-term, and many times corporations, companies, organizations will sacrifice long-term sustainability, long-term growth, long-term success for short-term feel-good stuff, okay? We do that as humans. We're actually wired that way now. I mean, you want to talk about the difference in that Gen Z. I mean, everything is give me my phone and give me that dopamine, give me that success. Heck, I'm guilty of it, I mean, I'm on my phone constantly. It's the business, it's the lane that I'm in. But that translates so much into the unwillingness to do the work, to lay the foundation, to go the long road, to take the long road to get that future growth, that future sustainability. And so tell me as far as, and I want to kind of dive deep in this, I think it's so interesting, as far as the implementation in the high schools, how does that work? Are the kids just volunteering? Are we actually putting it in the classroom? Is there a certain class? How does it work?
Yeah. It functions like a club in the school. So if you go back to high school and you were in, I'm trying to think of clubs after school. DECA, Key Club, Beta Club, FCA, whatever. So there's a group of students that apply to be involved. They meet once a month in a classroom, and we create video content that they see. And so they consume content, they have a conversation, and then throughout the course of the year, they work on a project to impact their community.
Cool.
So
Okay.
They're learning and then putting it into practice by actually doing something. That's another problem with high school leadership. You learn about something like teamwork, and then you're in math class. You don't have an outlet to apply what you've learned.
Right. Yeah, good stuff. And so you're also utilizing that with little small organizations like Coca-Cola and, pretty much one of the leading organizations in the National Football League, which are the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
So tell us how that's working as well.
Well, we stumbled in. I told you what we wanted to impact high school students. That was the goal.
Yeah.
And what we learned is that we had a real gift for communicating the goals of an organization in a way that was more relevant to that next generation.
Okay.
Which led to multiple options for us to help companies do one of three things: attract talent, onboard or develop their talent. When I say talent, I'm talking about people working there, or teach them leadership.
Okay.
So if you're just helping them get to the company, get inside of the company, and then develop within that company. So we're doing a lot of that with Chick-fil-A. I'll give you the Baltimore Ravens and Coca-Cola ones are very different. Baltimore Ravens is more similar to Chick-fil-A. This is people in their community that they want to reach. So it is an employer brand marketing program. Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola Leader Lab, Coca-Cola has a vested interest in you and me drinking more Coke or fill in the blank, Sprite, Smart Water, Vitamin Water, any of their products. That's what they want us to do.
Sure.
Well, we do that one of two ways. We either go buy it at a store or we get it along with one of our purchases at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. So what Coca-Cola identified is, what are the gaps for those restaurants? Well, they have a gap with engaging and training their people. If Coke can help them solve that problem, the restaurant will be more effective, so they'll sell more Coke. Again, Coke is taking the long view. They could just say, we're going to up our marketing dollars. We're going to try to create a new little, what do you call it, POP, little kind of graphic to make you buy more Coke here. But if I can make the employees more effective, you'll have a better experience. You'll come back more often and spend more money. And we're betting if you do that, you'll buy more Coke.
Okay. So that's really interesting because it's a culture. They're building a culture, a long-term culture within their own organization that is going to continue to sustain their growth and success over a long period of time. And you don't really see a lot of companies and organizations out there in quote unquote corporate America. Dude, I listened to I think it's Dave. I'm going to butcher his name. I think it's David Newark, who was at one point the CEO of PepsiCo, KFC. He founded Yum Foods, and he's one of the great. I think he's authored several leadership books. And he said in a podcast the other day. I told you I was a podcast junkie. I'm not even sure whose show I heard him on, but he was like, man, he said, I want to create a culture that is fun within my organizations. We have all these thousands of people that get up and they come to work for us all the time, and I look around these companies and these organizations, and they spend so much time, they spend so much effort and resources and just gobs of money to try to catch the 10% that's doing the less than 10% the right way. Okay, and then they want to shuffle off. They want to offload that 10% and bring on somebody new. Okay, well, it's a constant cycle of rinsing out the bottom 10%. So instead of doing that, we're just going to spend a ton of time loving on our people, okay? Yeah. And coaching, he said, we don't even call our people bosses. We call them coaches, because that's what we want to do. We want to coach. We want to teach. If your job is to, sweep the floors, and you do a great job sweeping the floors, man, I want to reward you. I want to recognize you, and I want to make a big deal for you being the best floor sweeper in the whole organization. That's
good.
Okay? And then he's like, man, we don't lose our 10%.
Yeah.
We don't lose people. Okay. The only time we lose people is if they go to a better job, a better opportunity. And so I love the fact that you guys are invested so heavily in these organizations, big time organizations as well, of creating dynamic cultures where people have an opportunity to achieve and accomplish some great things.
Yeah. Let me give you just two pieces to that. You say that's countercultural. We have to either find an organization that has the long view or a leader within those organizations. So it's got to be, maybe the organization, Chick-fil-A, thinks that way, or maybe we find an organization where there's a key leader who thinks differently.
Right.
And when we do that, we have to find leaders who are willing to make what I call exchanges. You can call them trade-offs, you can call them sacrifices, but I'm going to take a side note for just a second.
Sure.
Did you collect anything when you were growing up?
No.
Okay.
I didn't.
So
sorry.
I collected baseball cards.
Okay.
So
my dad did.
We're not far from the same age, but you're a little bit older than me. But I mean, you look younger. You got this good hair here.
Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we the number one card when I was growing up was the King Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Oh yeah.
It's what all my buddies wanted, and really there's 3 ways to get it. Way number 1 is you go to a store that sells them. So they get packs of baseball cards. It's the cheapest way, but you don't know what's in there. So you got to buy them. You hope you get it. There's a stick of bubble gum, tastes like cardboard.
Yeah,
okay.
awful.
That's option number 1. Option number 2, you go to a store that sells those cards in a like plastic case.
Right.
This card was $200. My dad was a firefighter. We weren't into spending. $200 wasn't an option for me.
Wasn't going to happen.
Option number 3 is I found somebody that had that card, and I had to be willing to trade for it.
Okay.
You can't trade any crappy card for that card. You have to be willing to give up something of value to get what you really want. And what I find the greatest leaders in business, the greatest leaders in life, are willing to make those trades or those exchanges. They're willing to give up stability in the short term for significance long term. They're willing to give up expedience in the short term for excellence long term. They're willing to give up the acceptance of their peers for what they want to accomplish. And the one we've talked about here, they give up the immediate gratification for what's ultimately satisfying. Zig Ziglar said it this way: the chief cause of failure and unhappiness is trading what we want most for what we want now. Most of these people don't succeed because they give up what they want most for what's going to make them happy right now.
Absolutely. I say it all the time to my children, to my team, back when I was coaching. In order to be successful long term, you have to be willing to sacrifice what you want now for what you want the most. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard to do because our desire is now. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's one of the reasons, man, I pray. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I say is thank you, Lord. I say first thing every day. That's what my goal is. You know, am I perfect? Heck no, brother. But my first thing I want to say is thank you, Lord. Second thing I want to say is God, give me wisdom.
Yeah.
God, give me wisdom, man. Just help, give me some discernment, but help me make good decisions. Give me wisdom. And so I can see some things that are around the corner, over the hills, things like that. And then, man, thank you. Give me a voice. Give me a voice that people want to listen to, and, what you said about Zig Ziglar, he's been in a couple of my shows. I think that guy, what a legacy he's left upon this world of people like us and people who maybe not be like us, who aren't kind of success oriented or success thinking, that hear that and they say, man, I would encourage anybody, go read some of his stuff. Pull him up on YouTube and listen to him. Okay. Because
it's old school, but it's good.
He was doing it before anybody was.
But what you said is, they're not willing to make the sacrifice. I find that oftentimes they're not willing to make it because they haven't gotten really clear on their purpose. You've got to want something bad enough to. So why would I wouldn't normally give up these baseball cards I have unless I want Ken Griffey Jr. bad enough. And I find that a lot of people float through life. They want to graduate from high school and then maybe college, and they want this first thing. But they achieve a certain level and they haven't set such a crystal clear goal that there's something worth sacrificing for. And if you don't have you ought to turn off this and stop listening to the rest of it until you get really clear about what you want in life.
So good, so good. So that brings me to a question, because, you travel the world and you speak to organizations, and you're obviously a inspirational person and you've got so much wisdom. And this is such a relevant point. It's so important. Okay. How do people find their purpose? Okay. What is it? Because like you said, so many of us are just coasting through life. Okay. We're going through the motions. We're getting up. We're going to work. We're paying our bills. We're living for Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday about 5 o'clock. We cut home from church. We're getting us, and then we start dreading going to work again on Monday. And it's just a vicious cycle that repeats itself over and over again throughout millions of homes in not only our country but throughout the world. And having a purpose-driven life, living a purpose-driven life. Rick Warren, one of the greatest books ever written, and one of the greatest that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of them, and I would encourage anyone, if you've never read The Purpose-Driven Life, go stop it now and go get it, okay? Pull it up on your audiobooks, get it on audio if you don't like to read, and just start listening, because you will be enriched, you will be impacted. But, Kevin, how do people find their purpose? How do they become intentional about seeking and passionately pursuing that purpose in their life?
Yeah. The first thing they got to do, you got to realize you have a purpose. I tell people all the time to put their fingers on their wrist. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose.
Love it. Say it again.
If you've got a pulse, you got a purpose. So one, you got to know you've got a purpose. It's key. Every single person listening to this, if you feel like you've been successful, you feel like you haven't, you have a purpose. So once you realize you have a purpose, the second question you got to look through, or this lens you got to look through, is that a true purpose is always others focused. So the book, The Purpose Driven Life, the first line of the book says, it's not about you. It's not about you. If your only purpose is yourself, you will end up feeling unfulfilled. So maybe that purpose is for a spouse. Maybe it's for kids. Maybe it's for a community. And that doesn't mean you're not going to achieve and be successful, but you got to be doing it for somebody else.
Yeah.
The third thing is this: where does purpose sit? And I say it sits at the intersection of three things: affinity, ability, and opportunity. Affinity, ability, and opportunity. Affinity is what I like to do. And let me tell you what I get real frustrated with. When people tell kids, find what you like to do and do it for the rest of your life. Well, if you like to do it and you're not good at it, hey, I like to play baseball. Guess what? I'm not very good at it. So if I try to do that that should be a hobby. That is not, and by the way, even if I like to do it and I'm good at it, but nobody will pay me to do it, again, that's not your purpose.
It's a hobby.
That's a hobby. So affinity, you gotta start, what do you like to do? What are you passionate about? Ability, what have you been uniquely gifted to do? Some of that you can develop and excel in, but affinity, ability, and the third is opportunity. What will somebody pay you to do? Mm-hmm. What does the world need? And if you can start to narrow in on that intersection, now I'll tell you this, I speak to a lot of young people. So I want to tell you this about young people. You can find your purpose earlier, but you work your way through life to more of getting to do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
At 25, I just want to be honest with you, there are going to be some parts of your job you're not going to like.
Yeah.
But you've got to be willing to do those to get closer to being in your sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Ramsey says, he agrees with you 100%. All this crap about telling kids, hey, find what you like, find what you enjoy, find what you're good at, and go do it. No. He says, find what you suck at the least.
Yeah.
Okay. And what you suck at the least, and that you halfway enjoy, and then go find a way to make money at it. Okay, because not everything's about money, guys. Let's be honest. Okay, but if you are able to turn your career into a cash, building income machine, which our number one asset and ability to gain wealth is our income, right? Yeah. Okay, then you have a better chance. So you have to be realistic. Like you said, just because you like dealing with baseball cards, or just because you like playing the saxophone, if you can't get paid to do it, and there's not a need for it, then it's a hobby. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. So
you gotta you got a purpose. You got to work to find that purpose, and the purpose needs to be compelling enough that you'll sacrifice for. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes, and this happens a little bit, you get older and you get a little bit jaded and life's knocked you down a couple times, and you somehow just start to settle. And when you start to, John F. Kennedy said, once you decide you're going to settle for second, that's what happens to you in life. And if you start to do that, you're not going to be, the lower your goal, the less you're going to be willing to sacrifice for it.
Right. We have a sign up here that says chase greatness. And, I don't even know what that means, but that's the standard for this company. That's the culture for us. Okay. What does chasing greatness mean? It means that we're going to do our absolute best, everything within our power to help as many people as we possibly can. We don't win here at Red Taylor Insurance unless we help you save money, a bunch of money, and get great coverage and benefits. If we can't do that, then we can't work for you. We're going to tell you, hey, Kevin, you guys have a really good thing going. Stay where you are, okay? Because we're not in it for the short term, okay? I tell and I got a lot of young salesmen around here, and I tell them, guys, play the long game. If you just do what's right, all the time. If you just keep your integrity in this business, you will be blessed for a very long time. I'm living proof of that because I don't have the greatest talent. I've never been to sales seminars. Nobody's ever taught me how to do public speaking. Nobody's ever taught me any sales techniques. But I've always just felt like if we could do what was best, if I could help people, then, like Zig Ziglar said, if you want to be successful in life, if you want to achieve your wildest dreams, make all the money in this world that you want to make, don't be a go-getter, learn to be a go-giver.
Yeah. And
I've taken it to heart, and I've embodied that, and I'm living proof of how that actually can work out in your life. What you said, it just that's going to be the title of this show. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. And I love it so much. Purpose for people can take on so many different directions, and we seem to focus on impact, the purpose of impact. Yep. Okay, and there's nothing in me that doesn't believe that my purpose on this earth, and it for you as well, is to impact other people for good. Yep. Okay, but not everybody that is listening to us today is built for that. Right. So just like on every team, just like in every organization, there's a CEO. Okay. There's CMOs. There's all, Tom Brady was going to be the quarterback. There wasn't going to be any other Tom Bradys. Michael Jordan was going to take the last shot. Okay. Everybody else had to serve a role. So within organizations, if you're listening to us today and you're driving to work and you are filling a role within your organization, how do you find that meaningful purpose in filling your role and creating satisfaction and worth out of it?
Yeah. This is a struggle for a lot of people, but you've got to be able to connect the mundane to the meaningful. And so when we work with, I'll give you just organizational, we work with an organization who is trying to get really clear on their purpose. As a company, we then say, can you tie every single individual's activity in that company to the purpose? If you can't do that, then you don't have the right purpose. And I'll give you just a couple examples of it. Chick-fil-A, they have a corporate purpose about glorifying God and being a faithful steward, but they have an internal mission right now called to be the most caring company in the world. And what they have said is, and when you hear care, if you've been to a Chick-fil-A, you probably think, oh yeah, that's why they say my pleasure. Well, that is, but somebody's got to make sure the order is right. Yeah. And part of caring for people is making sure the order's right. So there's an operational function to that. Somebody's got to clean a bathroom, because if you go in there and the bathroom has exploded and there's crap everywhere, how cared for do you feel if there's crap everywhere?
Not at all.
You don't feel cared. So they are able to tie every single function, and that's talking about a restaurant. There's also corporate roles. Everybody's job is tied to their purpose. I think as an individual, whether you're working at a company or you've got your individual purpose, you've got to say, how do these activities help me get there? At our company, our goal, ADDO's a Latin word for inspire. We want to inspire people today to impact tomorrow. Guess what? Part of inspiring people today to impact tomorrow is our books have to be right so we can do it. You know who hates accounting? This guy. Never taken a business class in my life. But somebody's got to do it, because if our books aren't right, we're not going to be able to continue to do our job. Sure. And so you've got to tie every activity, tie the mundane to the meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. So much of being a professional, so much of being successful is having the commitment to doing the mundane, right? Because that's what successful people do. I'll take it back to, Tom Brady. That guy went out every single day to practice, right? Yep. You know what he did at practice? The same drill he did the day before. The exact same drill. He did the same footwork. He did the same handoff drill. He did the same passes. Okay? He did everything the exact same every single day.
And the things he ate and the workout routine and the things all of those things seem very mundane, but they tie into, what do you want to do? He want to win Super Bowls.
Yeah. You want to be a champion.
And when you can connect those two, that's when you're willing to do those things you wouldn't otherwise do.
Yeah, yeah, great stuff. Change subjects with me real quick because, you and I were talking off camera, and something that I think our audience is really going to be interested in is the fact that you are going around all over the world, all over the country, speaking to organizations, speaking to leadership groups, and inspiring those. In fact, I think you said that you've spoken on several different continents now, and you've got 47 booked at this point for this year, which is really, really good. And I'm impressed and I'm inspired by that. Tell us about that. What does that mean? How does that work? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you all of it on this speaking thing.
Let's
so
go.
Number one, I just turned 40, by the way. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. So there was a time in my life.
Facebook. You know this guy had his 40th birthday party, okay? Which I was not invited to, by the way, and I am a little hurt by that, okay? I just want you to know. But this guy had his 40th birthday party. It was at the 755 Club at Truist Stadium at the Atlanta Braves Stadium.
Blooper was there. That was the thing.
Blooper sang happy birthday. Blooper's never spoken a word in his life. He got Blooper fired.
Okay. Yeah.
He's not supposed to talk.
Okay, so 40. Let me tell you where I'm different at 40 than I was at 27. At 27, I wanted to speak because I wanted to say something. At 40, I want to speak because I've got something to say. And I'm not telling you either of those are one is more holy than the other, but some people, probably the question I get asked most, how do you become a speaker? But a lot of times it's because people want to stand. It feels good. I like applause. It feels really good. You know, when I'm at home changing diapers, nobody claps for me.
No.
I do it because that's what I feel called to.
Changing diapers, cutting the grass. Nobody's sitting there.
Nobody says, man, you crushed it.
I tell my wife, man, I take my dogs out. So I've got 3 dogs. I love my dogs, okay? I've got 6 kids and 3 dogs, and I'm telling you, by the minute of each day, it's questionable which ones I like the most, okay? I love my babies, all right? And I take them out, and my wife will say, because it's like, hey, you want to go pee-pee poo-poo? That's my thing. They know. Boom, spring up to the door, let's go. And she's like, I wish that you would cheer for me to go pee-pee poo-poo like you do for the babies, Red. She's like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I said, babe, they jump up, they get excited, they wag their tail, and they want to please me like unbelievably. So anyways, that was my relationship to what you just said there. Go ahead.
There is something fun about speaking, to stand on a stage and have a bunch of people look at you and then hopefully clap when you're done. I think the first thing about speaking, though, is you got to figure out what do you need to say that they need to hear. There's a guy named Nick Morgan who wrote a book called Give Your Speech, Change the World. And here's what he said. The only reason to ever give a speech is to change the world. And he said, and he's not talking about just on a big stage with 500 people. He's talking about in a conference room with your team. He's talking about in a Sunday school class. He's talking about a high school baseball or football coach standing around the room. Every time you speak, you have the opportunity to shape hearts and minds. And if they change their perspective and how they view things, changes how they do things, it can change their life. So every time you speak, you can change somebody's life. For me, that's an awesome way to do it. And then it really is a lead generation mechanism for our business. I've been to conferences before where we had paid to be there, and we had bought a booth, and we had stood in something hoping somebody would come talk to us. And then I learned if they'd pay me to speak, instead of me paying, they pay me. And then I get done speaking, and people line up to talk to me, and then I have a captive audience. And so I believe speaking for the right audiences can work for any business. It can work for our business, helping build brands from the inside out. It can work for an insurance brokerage. It can work for a plumber. It can work, and it may be speaking at a local Rotary Club.
Sure.
But every time you speak, and when you think about speaking, you should think about adding value.
Yes.
So you're not pitching your business, you're telling them things they wouldn't know otherwise. If I'm going to use this example, so I'm a plumber, I would want to get up and tell people, hey, here's 3 things you can do to make sure you don't get your toilet clogged, or here's 3 things you can do to lower this, or here's whatever. And then if I add value, I can build a relationship to end up hopefully getting business long term.
Man, that is so good. That is some of the best stuff that I've ever heard on this show, and it's so impactful. So he says, if you're going to speak to change the world. That is, I love it. I love it. And I think everybody can gain value from that.
Can I tell you? Because this sounds, when I say that, it sounds very noble. And man, this guy's so good. I very quickly fall into the habit of doing things that are me focused.
Oh, gosh.
And I realized, we were in a season for a business where we felt a little bit tight. We needed to go get some business. And what was interesting is I felt like the next couple months, all I was doing, I was hungry. We needed to get some food. So that was my interactions. I was hunting.
Yeah.
I was looking at people. How could I get value from them? And guess what? We got a lot less value in that time.
Yep.
And then I realized, and I was in a conversation this week that made me think of it. Had a friend, high-level executive, thinking about another job. I spent 20 minutes on a phone call trying to help him navigate what he needed. And we get to the end of the call, and I got 2 things out of it that I had been needing for a long time.
Really?
But when you said the Zig Ziglar go-giver, Zig said, you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get everything you want. It's countercultural, but when you do it, it works.
Yeah. Point in case, just this past week, so I've got an email company that's wanting to do copyright email campaign for me. I've been in this business about 25 years, so I've got a big, massive email list of leads that have come through my business from Dave Ramsey's program, from MetaShare, which is Christian healthcare sharing, and they sent me back their first series of 10 emails. Okay, and the very first one is basically, "Hey, I'm Red Taylor. I work with Dave Ramsey. I work with MetaShare. Schedule an appointment. Let's buy something from me." Second one, expounded upon that. Set an appointment, buy something from me. Third one, same thing. I said, no. I sent it back. That's not, no. Okay. What we will do with this email list is we're going to add value. We're going to give. Okay. So the first 10 emails that we send out are going to be the tips, tricks, and secrets of the insurance industry that nobody knows. Okay. Why do I even have a job? Because people can go and buy my products online. People can call the insurance. You can call Blue Cross Blue Shield directly and get it, okay? But nobody understands it. People are intimidated by this topic of health insurance. Congress can't figure it out. Nobody understands it really well. It's probably a thorn in your side at your company. You know that health insurance is something you have to deal with every single year at open enrollment, right?
Yep.
And it stinks, okay? Because nobody likes it, because they always run your rates up. You got to go in and reshop. You got to do the whole deal over and again. It's everybody in America, the same thing, okay? And so what I told those guys is, for the first 10 emails, we're going to give our tips, tricks, and secrets on how to get better, more affordable health insurance. And they were like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "I'm paying you guys for this? You need me to write them too?" I mean, no. Just give us the topics. We'll go write it. But I mean, it's so counterculture or counterintuitive to what everybody else wants to do. You don't go in and create a relationship. "Hey, Kevin, I'm Red. When you want to buy something from me, hey, brother, how can I help you? Okay. How are you? How's your family? Okay. How's your company? You guys got any needs we can fill?" And you create relationship, you add value, and now you have a long-term opportunity for a relationship that is a reciprocating win.
Yeah. And it's when you think about creating value instead of extracting value, you unlock the relational opportunity for long-term value creation. And can I tell you something? The people that I respect the most, that's what they do.
Yeah.
I remember sitting across from one of the heads of marketing at Chick-fil-A. By the way, we're trying to get money from them. They were our and they turn around, we get to the end of the meeting, they say, "You know what? We may not be your biggest client, but we want to be your best client. So you let us know." And they always treat us with, how do we add value to you? And guess what that does? Makes me want to work harder for them.
Absolutely.
Because when a lot of different clients call and there's competing demands, who do I want to help? The person that's added the most value to my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if people will determined to focus more on their relationships and how relationships can impact them both, personally and professionally, and stop looking at every person and every opportunity from what I can get. Like you said, you get me focused, man. I'm so self-centered. I'm so selfish and shallow and self-absorbed that I can't even stand myself sometimes. So that's another level of prayer. God, take me away from me. Okay, get me away from me and get me focused on my wife, and my children and my company and the other relationships that I have. How do we become intentional, Kevin? How do we become intentional about being givers, about being relationally advantageous to the other party?
Yep. This is tough to do because our default always comes back to us. So this is a discipline that people have to figure out how to cultivate. And I don't know that I've got a magic bullet, but it goes back to, I think, figuring out what you want most long-term. Because if you can't, every time you get away from that long-term focus, you're going to start thinking about short-term extracting, short-term taking value. What can I take? The more you think about long-term, the more you understand that I need to pour in to play the long game.
Yeah. If you look at that and you break it down just to everyday life, like for instance, our physical fitness. Okay, so many of us. I mean, you're in good shape. Physical fitness is extremely important to me. I'm 51. I'll be 52 in October, and my wife threw me a surprise 50th birthday party. I was so overstricken with gratitude at that point in time that it just hit me. It's like God told me, said, "Red, you're going to live to be 100 healthily." Okay, and that I believe that with all my heart, okay? And then we actually talked about it the other day. She says, "You can't say that. You can't control that." I said, "Babe, outside of something crazy, unluck, or just a bad circumstance happen, it's going to happen for me." Like, I believe that, okay? But the reason I believe that is because I got my fat butt up and I worked out this morning, okay? And I'm going to go and I'm going to do my cardio this afternoon. Guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go and do the hard stuff. Do I like it? Do I enjoy it? No, it's hard, okay? Yep. Do I like having to to sacrifice to be a good husband all the time? No, it's hard. Okay. Do I like doing everything that I need to do around my company? Somebody that, may not be doing the job that I need them to do, instead of, busting them and saying, "Hey, listen, step your butt up. Okay. You didn't do this. All right. So if you don't do this is going to happen. How about you put your arm around and say, "Ma'am, we need you. Okay, you're important to us. Okay, I have to have you to do this in order for us to be successful." Yep. Those are the hard things that it takes in order to be long-term oriented and long-term successful in your relationships. And that's all the relationships. You want a great relationship with your children. You're a dad at home changing your baby's diapers, right? Yeah. They're never going to remember that, but it does matter. It will create a bond, because you'll tell her that. The child's mother will tell her that. And that child, when they get old enough, they'll be like, "Man, my daddy cared enough about me to change my diapers when I was a baby." Yeah. So it all plays into the success of our lives and our impactfulness and our transformation of joyful, giving beings, I guess is just, I don't even know where this thing's going.
Yeah. I love it. Bottom line is, if we're going to be able to do that consistently, we got to develop the habits and routines. And I'll tell you this, because this is a gap for people who want to be high achievers that aren't high achievers. You use this workout example. And what I find in life and in business is that a lot of people try to compensate for lack of consistency with bursts of intensity. So let me give you a business, and I'll give you a personal. Business-wise, they think about that. You know what? We got a crap culture, but we do this one retreat every year. We took everybody out, did the happy hour. Man, isn't that fun? But day-to-day sucks. That doesn't work. That's like you saying, "I hadn't worked out for 6 months, but I worked out 6 days last week, and that should be enough." Or here's a better one. "I got a dentist appointment next week. I didn't brush my teeth for 6 months, but I'm going to spend 6 hours today brushing my teeth, and I'm going to make up for it." That you cannot compensate for lack of consistency with bursts of intensity. You have got to find a way to do it every single day.
So good, so good. That brings me to actually in the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Stephen Covey explains that in detail using the farm.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Using lack of intensity for lack of consistency with bursts of intensity. Would that ever work on the farm? Absolutely not. Think about that. Just think about that for a moment. And why is it so hard for us to grasp this concept as humans, as adults? Okay, on the farm, you have to go out. You have to plow the field in the springtime. You have to get it prepared. You have to do all the things that are necessary, and then you go plant your crops. Right?
Yeah.
Correctly. It's a day-to-day, mundane, step-by-step process. Then you have to tend it, okay? You have to water it. You have to weed it. You got to fertilize it. You have to care for it every single day. And if you do that, and you're blessed with enough water, and you're blessed with some good fortune, okay, in your life, and you don't get hit by bad circumstances like adversity in your life, then in the fall, you'll reap a good harvest.
Yeah.
You'll reap what you've sown. And in your life, it's the same. On the farm, what if we didn't go out there and plow the field in the spring?
Yeah, it wouldn't work. But can I tell you, there are times you till the ground, you plant, you water, you do all that stuff, and you yield a harvest. And do you know, I find there's a lot of people that do all that, and they're highly successful and still unsatisfied. And one of the reasons is, and it goes back to this idea of connecting the mundane to the meaningful, because they are distracted by some of the wrong things. Can I give you a farming principle for a second that changed my life? Okay. I had a good friend I'm looking right here. You got 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You got Unlimited Power, Anthony Robbins. You got all kinds of good books. I'm always asking people, what's a good book to read? One of my buddies said, here, I'll tell you what I do. I'd go to the book of Proverbs. Whatever day of the month it is, read that chapter of Proverbs.
Yes.
So whatever day you're listening to this, if it's the 3rd or the 5th or the 7th or the 20th, read that chapter of Proverbs. Well, some of those were great. Like Proverbs 20 verse 1 says this, where there's no vision, the people perish. That's good. No vision, people are dying. Like, you got to have a purpose, so people die. Some of that didn't make sense to me. And one of those, the ones that didn't usually make sense to me were agriculture examples. Because you're talking about a farm, but I didn't grow up on a farm.
Right.
So one of those is Proverbs 14:4, and read it says this. It says, where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. Red, it didn't mean anything to me, but my wife is from South Georgia.
Okay.
She was in the FFA in high school.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Future Farmers of America.
She still has the jacket. She had a job growing up. I didn't know it was a job you could have. She showed pigs, which is crazy to me. Let me tell you, I began to understand the principle of this farm. And what this proverb paints the picture of 2 farms. On the first farm over here, it says there are no oxen. Translation for those city people like me, that means there's no animals.
Right.
So the manger or the stable or the barn is clean. We're going to make this PG version here. It's saying on that farm there's no animals, so there's no crap to clean up. That's not King James. That's what it's saying right there. No animals, no crap. On the second farm it says this, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. So on this farm there's abundance, there's growth, there's harvest, there's progress. There is forward movement happening. The things we're talking about. We're yielding a harvest.
Yes.
And it's coming because there's an animal. Here's what it doesn't say, but it implies. On that farm, somebody's got to grab a shovel because there's some crap to deal with.
Yes.
What I think successful people have to understand is that even when you are successful, even when there is progress, there are side effects of progress, and that side effect often looks like crap. And this is why perspective is so key, because what you just said, I mean, I love what you said. It takes consistency in the farm. It takes all those things. But guess what? Consistency also means there are a lot of days that you get up and you show up to work and it looks like shoveling crap.
Yes.
And you think, and if you focus on the crap, you're going to have a terrible attitude. You're going to not enjoy work. You're going to be miserable to be around. But if you view crap as a side effect of progress, how you view things changes how you do things, and it will change your life. So you got to keep your eye on the ultimate goal.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this, I've listened to a lot of your podcast. Some of the things that have taught you the most in life are some of the most adversity you've dealt with, some of the challenges.
Yes.
Can I tell you this? That crap, I learned this about a farm. The crap in one season, they use as fertilizer in the next season, which means the crap you're dealing with now might just be the greatest catalyst for growth in the future.
Amen.
The challenges you're dealing with are the things that you will use in the future to keep fueling growth for you. So crap is a side effect of progress.
So good, so good, so good. I love it. I want to expound on that because I believe it's so important what you're saying, and it really goes back to our thoughts. It goes back to how we think, the paradigms, our paradigms. Tony Robbins says your paradigms are the eyeglasses through which you see the world. Okay, are the glasses clear? Are they dark? Are they red? What are they like? And all of that is determined by how we think about our life, about how we think about our world. 84 statistics show that 84% of our normal thoughts are negative.
Yep.
Okay, and so in only 16% of what we think. So think about that. 16% of what we think is either average or positive, okay? Yeah. So less than 16% of what we think is positive. And think about your life right now. Just stop, okay? Is the majority of your life, you're listening to this show right now, just stop and think about it. Is the majority of your life positive or negative? You're darn right it's positive. God woke you up today, right? You got a pulse, you got a what? Purpose. Okay. So you are positively living a purpose today, right now. Okay. So how do you turn the 84% negative into, I don't know, what if we could just go 50% positive?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And that's by waking up in the morning and being thankful. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, God. Thank you for waking me today. Thank you for giving me my health. Thank you for giving me love. Thank you for giving me a job. Thank you for giving me this home, this bed, these sheets, okay? Yep. The air, the cool air, in the winter, the warm heat. God, thank you for giving me food in my refrigerator, okay? A car that's going to take me to work. Little things with a grateful heart and intentional focus on being thankful for the things that you have in life, your partners, okay? Your wife that nags you all the time, your husband that goes to happy hour too much and plays too much golf. What about the things that you're thankful for that person, okay? Do we focus on the 10% that's bad? Yep, because when we do that, we make it 90%. We make the 10% 90%. Why do you think we have 55, 60% of marriages ending in divorce? Okay? And then let's go look at the other 45% of them. How many couples do you know that are truly happy together? Yep. Okay? They're focusing on the bad stuff. Okay? It's our thought game. Work on the way that you think about your life, about your existence, about your relationships. Become intentional. Okay, that's what you're saying, and you just put it all the way back into the Bible.
Let's go this. Give me that Tony Robbins quote again about thinking. What did you say he said about thinking?
He says that paradigms. Okay, Tony calls them paradigms. Yep. Okay, he says paradigms are the eyeglasses through which you see the world.
So he's saying what you think about affects how you see the world, which will affect your life.
Yes.
And you know what some people may say? Tony Robbins, a little too much hype for me. That's a little new age. Well, Proverbs says it this way. Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
And so this may feel like it's just a rah-rah self-help thing, but the biblical principle is the way you think determines your life.
1,000%.
And it determines your action. So I couldn't agree more. If we're going to succeed in life, we got to start by changing our thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to focus on success. I focus so much of this show is on success. It's on personal development. It's on self-development. And success, people, it's the day-to-day. It's the picking up the shovel and shoveling some crap. Okay?
That is.
And understanding that today's crap is next season's fertilizer. Mm-hmm. Okay? And we believe that you have that in you, okay? We believe that each and every one of us have that ability, that you have the ability to change your life, to turn it around, to become impactful, to transform it to a joyful existence in this world. So last question. I want to give you the last question. I always ask this, and I know you're going to drop the bomb on us today, but it's a tough question. But man, it's very, very important. Talk about the next generation, okay? And these Gen Zers and the 25-year-olds. I'm not even sure what generation they are, but the folks that are coming up, because there's a lot of battles that they're fighting right now. Yeah. What do you feel like are some actionable items and steps that would be very, very important for them to be able to attain success?
Man, it's tough. The situation, I mean, right now, it looks bleak, and that's not just for them, it's for all of us. You just think about, you talked about thinking about your thinking. I'm holding up my phone here. This phone, everything it is telling me, it's feeding me a lot of negative information. It's telling me that the stock market isn't as good as I want it to be, that the political administration in office is inept, that may or may not be true. It's telling me there's political turmoil. It tells me all of these things. In fact, when I scroll Instagram, it tells me somebody else is succeeding and I'm behind. Yep. And everything it's feeding me. And one of the problems for this next generation is the amount of time spent on this. So that's where the information is coming from.
Yes.
The flip side of that is we've got to take this long view of life far beyond that. We've been talking about this whole time, and I would say that comes from a biblical truth.
Yes.
Of what is true. What the Bible says is that we were created by God with inherent purpose, that it doesn't say that nothing bad is going to happen to us. It just says that he knew what they were in advance. It also says that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. What we know is that even when situations seem bad, we can choose to focus on those other things. And so I think biggest advice for next generation, number one, is they need to see some consistency from adults. So I have a podcast for dads right now called Legacy Makers. I'm very focused on that.
Love it.
The second thing is they need to be thinking about what the purpose for which they were created is. And when they do that, my hope is that they'll begin to start to make those exchanges. They will make sacrifices. We have somehow made this term sacrifice so unsexy that nobody wants to do it. And anybody I know who's been successful has had sacrifices.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's the reframing that's got to happen for young people.
Yeah, love it, love it. Become intentional, young people, okay? Become intentional. Turn your phone off. Spend some time thinking. Who was it that said that about all the world's problems, half the world's problems stem from man not being able to sit alone in a room by himself with his own thoughts.
Yeah, and I need to hear that too. Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me.
I do too. So, brother, man, this has been great. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to add so much value to our clients and to our listeners on this show. If people want to find you, Kevin, and learn more about you, read your books, where do they find you?
The best way is kevinpaulscott.com. A lot of people ask me, do I have a double name? No, it's just Kevin Scott was too common. So it's kevinpaulscott.com. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and website.
Go check him out, folks. Buy his books, learn more about him. Listen to his speeches. They're going to bring you value. They're going to impact your life for good. And we're going to have you back another time.
Let's do it. This has been fun.
It's been a great one. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Kevin Scott and Red Taylor from the Red Hot Read.